Learn to keep your mouth shut. The most powerful thing you can do in most situations is say nothing. Not because you have nothing to say, but because you understand something that almost no one around you understands. Words are currency, and most people are bankrupt. They spend words constantly on complaints that change nothing, on arguments that convince no one, on explanations nobody asked for, on opinions that cost them relationships, opportunities, and respect, all for the momentary relief of being heard. And here is the brutal truth. The loudest people in any room are almost never the most powerful people in that room. Power does not announce itself. It does not defend itself. It does not explain itself to people who have already decided not to understand. Power is quiet. Today, we are going to talk about one of the most underrated, most misunderstood, most transformative disciplines in all of Stoic philosophy. The discipline of silence. Not the silence of the defeated, not the silence of the afraid, not the silence of someone who has nothing to offer. The silence of someone who has chosen, deliberately, consciously, with full awareness, to keep their mouth shut. By the time this is over, you will never hear silence the same way again. The problem with talking too much. Let us begin with an honest diagnosis. Most people talk too much, not slightly too much, catastrophically too much. And they do not talk too much because they are foolish. They do it because talking feels good. Talking releases tension. Talking creates the sensation of doing something even when nothing is being done. Talking generates the feeling of connection, of relevance, of existence. But feelings are not always signals of what is wise. Think about the last time you said something you immediately regretted. Maybe it was an argument where you said the one thing you knew would cut the deepest, and you said it anyway because the pressure inside you had to go somewhere. Maybe it was a moment of insecurity where you over-explained yourself to someone who didn't ask, turning confidence into visible desperation. Maybe it was talking about your plans before they were real, sharing your goals, your dreams, your ideas, and watching the energy drain out of them with every conversation. Maybe it was a moment of gossip that felt like connection in the instant and like poison in the aftermath. Every single one of these moments has something in common. The damage was done with your own mouth. Not by an enemy, not by bad luck, by you. By the part of you that has not yet learned the discipline the Stoics considered foundational to wisdom. Know when to speak. Know when to be silent. And understand that the second skill is rarer and more valuable than the first. What the Stoics actually said. Epictetus was a Stoic philosopher who had every reason to be bitter, loud, and demanding. He was born a slave. He had no rights. At some point in his life, his master, reportedly as a test or demonstration of power, twisted Epictetus's leg. Epictetus, without flinching, said calmly, "You are going to break it." The master continued. The leg broke. Epictetus said, "Did I not tell you that you would break it?" This man, who had experienced violence, servitude, and the complete absence of external freedom, became one of the most influential philosophers who ever lived.
And one of the things he taught most insistently was this: we have 2 ears and 1 mouth, so that we can listen twice as much as we speak. He understood something from the inside out. The person who cannot control what comes out of their mouth has no true freedom, regardless of their external circumstances. And the person who masters silence becomes free in a way that no chains can undo. Marcus Aurelius, writing only to himself, returned again and again to the discipline of restraint in speech. He wrote, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." Read that again. If it is not true, do not say it. Not just lying, though obviously that, but the broader category. If what you are about to say is not true in the deepest sense, true to your values, true to the moment, true to what actually matters, then close your mouth. Seneca wrote extensively about the danger of aimless conversation. He observed that people who spend their time in constant chatter rarely spend time in genuine thought. And without genuine thought, action becomes reactive, life becomes shallow, and the person who could have been wise becomes instead merely loud. He wrote, "Retire into yourself as much as you can, not as escapism, as discipline, as the practice of a person who understands that the most important conversations you will ever have are the ones that happen in the silence of your own mind." Why silence is power. Let us talk about power in a very practical sense, because some of you are reading this and thinking, but if I stay quiet, people will walk over me. If I don't speak up, I'll be invisible. If I hold back, I'll lose. This is the voice of someone who has confused volume with strength. Watch the most formidable people you have ever encountered. Not the most performative, not the most dramatic, the most genuinely powerful. Notice how they speak. They speak less than the people around them. When they speak, the room changes, not because they have some magical quality of voice, but because what they say is chosen. It is considered. It is not reflexive or impulsive or driven by the need to be heard. And here is the deep mechanics of why silence creates power. When you speak less, each word you speak carries more weight. When you do not fill every silence, other people feel the need to fill it, and they reveal themselves in what they say. When you do not immediately defend yourself against every accusation or criticism, you communicate that you are not controlled by others' opinions. And the person who is not controlled by your opinion is the most difficult person in the world to manipulate. When you do not share everything you know, you retain what the strategist Robert Greene called the element of concealment. The person who has revealed everything has no mystery. The person with no mystery has no power to command attention and consideration. Silence is not emptiness. Silence is a container. It holds what you have not yet spent. And the person who has not spent everything is the person others cannot predict, cannot control, and cannot dismiss.
The 7 situations where you must stay silent. Now we move from philosophy to practice, because knowing that silence is powerful is not the same as knowing when to deploy it. And the Stoics were nothing if not practical. They did not want you to be passive or avoidant. They wanted you to be strategic, intentional, and disciplined. Here are the 7 situations where keeping your mouth shut is not weakness, but wisdom. When you are angry. Anger is the emotion most likely to make your mouth your worst enemy. When you are genuinely angry, your ability to think clearly is compromised. The part of your brain responsible for nuance, consequence, and long-term reasoning has been partially hijacked by the part responsible for immediate survival response. In this state, you will say things you cannot unsay. You will speak in a way that does not represent who you are at your best. And the damage will outlast the anger by months, years, sometimes permanently. The Stoics had a specific practice for this: delay. Not forever, not passive avoidance. Simply, do not speak until the heat has passed. Seneca wrote that when he felt anger rising, he would make himself wait, not to suppress the anger, but to allow enough time for his reason to re-engage, so that if he chose to speak, the words would be chosen rather than expelled. There is almost nothing you need to say in anger that cannot wait 20 minutes. And in 20 minutes, most of what you were going to say will either be better said differently or not worth saying at all. When you are about to explain yourself to someone who has already decided. This is one of the great time thieves of human interaction. There are people in your life and people you will encounter who have formed a conclusion about you, about your choices, about your character. And no amount of explanation, evidence, or eloquence will change that conclusion. They have decided, and the decision gives them something they need.
When you encounter the situation and your reflex is to explain, to clarify, to make them understand, pause. Ask yourself, even if I say everything perfectly, will this person be moved? If the honest answer is no, then you are not about to have a conversation. You are about to perform for an audience that has already reviewed you and closed the curtain. Your dignity is not in winning that audience. Your dignity is in recognizing that their approval was never the point. Close your mouth. Let your actions be the argument. Time has a way of making the truth visible that no words can accelerate. When you are tempted to share your plans, this is one of the most important things you will hear if you are someone who creates, builds, or works toward meaningful goals. There is a psychological phenomenon that researchers have documented extensively. When you tell people about your goals, your brain experiences a version of the satisfaction that comes from achieving those goals. The social acknowledgement, the encouragement, the identity of being someone who is going to do something, it delivers a partial reward. And partial rewards reduce motivation. The Stoics understood this intuitively. They counseled doing before speaking, building before announcing, completing before celebrating. Marcus Aurelius, who had unlimited audiences available to him, who could have made every decision into a proclamation, chose to think in private, to process in private, to refine in private, and then to act.
Your goals are not made real by speaking them. They are made real by doing the work, in silence, until there is something worth showing. Keep your mouth shut about what you are building until it is built. When someone wants to pull you into their drama, every social environment has people who organize their emotional life around conflict, crisis, and chaos. Not because they are evil, but because drama creates stimulation, and stimulation fills the void that genuine meaning would otherwise need to fill. These people are not your enemies, but their chaos is not your home. When someone presents you with their drama, the offense they have taken, the battle they are fighting, the sides they need you to choose between, you have options. The Stoic option is often to say very little. A neutral acknowledgement, a quiet refusal to engage with the substance of the conflict, a gentle but clear signaling that you are not available to be recruited. Because here is what most people do not understand about drama. It requires an audience to survive. Remove the audience, and drama starves. When you keep your mouth shut in the presence of someone else's chaos, you are not being cold. You are refusing to be a fuel source for a fire that will eventually consume everything it touches. When you know something others don't, and sharing it won't serve anyone, this is the discipline of selective revelation. The Stoics were deeply invested in truth-telling. They were not advocates for deception or manipulation, but they also understood that not every truth serves every moment. And the impulse to share what you know, particularly if it makes you seem informed, intelligent, or privy to important things, is often more about ego than service. Before you speak the thing you know, ask, who does this serve? If the honest answer is, primarily it makes me look knowledgeable or important, then the impulse is ego, not wisdom. Information shared at the wrong time, to the wrong person, for the wrong reason, does not make you wise. It makes you careless with what was given to you. Understand the value of what you carry. Protect it. Share it only when sharing genuinely serves. When you are about to give unsolicited advice, this is a discipline most people with intelligence and genuine care find extremely difficult. You can see the problem. You know the solution. The person you love is standing in front of you, making a decision you can see will cost them, and they have not asked for your input. The Stoic counsel here is hard but true. Wait until you are asked. Unsolicited advice, however wise, is almost never received as wisdom. It is received as judgment. It communicates, beneath the surface, that you do not believe the other person is capable of navigating their own life. And that message, even when completely unintentional, damages trust rather than building it. The painful irony is that your silence in these moments is often the thing that eventually earns you the right to be heard. The person who never pushes their perspective becomes the person others seek out when they are genuinely ready to receive it. When you have already made your point,
Say the thing once, say it clearly, say it well, and then stop. The compulsion to repeat, to elaborate, to come at the same point from 17 different angles, this does not strengthen your position. It weakens it. It signals insecurity. It communicates that you are not confident the point landed, and that uncertainty makes others uncertain as well. The most persuasive people in any room are those who make their case and then go quiet. They let the idea sit. They trust it, and in that trust, they communicate something that repetition never can. I believe what I said. I don't need to perform belief. The idea can stand on its own. Say it once, then silence. Here is what most people miss when they discover the power of silence. Silence is not just the absence of speaking. It is the presence of listening. And listening is the most undervalued intelligence in human interaction. When you genuinely listen, not waiting for your turn, not preparing your response, not evaluating and categorizing in real time, you receive information that most people around you never receive. You hear what is actually being said, not just the surface meaning. You hear the emotion underneath the words. You hear the hesitation and the confidence. You hear what is being avoided as much as what is being offered. You hear the person's real concerns beneath their stated ones. This is not manipulation. This is attunement. It is the Stoic practice of genuinely engaging with what is real, rather than with the story you are already telling about what is happening. Epictetus taught his students that wisdom begins with accurate perception, and accurate perception of another human being requires that you shut down your own transmission long enough to receive theirs. When you become a genuine listener, something remarkable happens to your relationships. People feel understood in a way they rarely experience, and the person who makes others feel genuinely understood becomes, over time, one of the most trusted and valued people in any room. Not because they said all the right things, because they listened in a way that made others feel real. What silence reveals about you? There is a test that most people do not know they are taking. Every time you are under pressure, every time something goes wrong, or someone challenges you, or the situation becomes uncomfortable, the way you handle your mouth reveals your character more completely than almost anything else. The person who lashes out when criticized reveals that their self-image is fragile and defended by attack. The person who over-explains when questioned reveals that they need external validation more than they need internal clarity. The person who gossips when given information reveals that they value social currency more than integrity. The person who boasts when insecure reveals that their confidence is a performance, not a foundation. And the person who stays quiet, who processes, who chooses, who speaks only from a place of genuine intention, reveals something that commands a different kind of respect. They reveal that they are not at the mercy of every impulse that moves through them, that they have an interior life that is not constantly broadcasted, that they trust themselves enough not to need the room's constant confirmation. The Stoics believed that the quality of a person's inner life was the most important fact about them.
And one of the clearest windows into that inner life is not what they say, it is what they choose not to say. Silence, practiced with intention, is a form of self-revelation. It shows the world that there is something inside you worth protecting, worth choosing, worth curating. It shows the world that you are someone who thinks before they speak. And in a world of people who speak before they think, that alone will make you remarkable. The Stoic and speech, finding the balance. Before we go further, let us be precise about something. The Stoic discipline of silence is not a counsel of permanent muteness. It is not the approval of avoidance, passivity, or the refusal to stand for what is right. Marcus Aurelius spoke, often, and with directness and force, when it was required of him. He did not confuse silence with cowardice. Cato the Younger, one of the most celebrated Stoics in Roman political life, was known for his willingness to say true and uncomfortable things in public settings, to stand alone against the tide of popular opinion, To speak up, even when speaking up cost him everything. The difference was not how much he spoke, it was why he spoke. He spoke from principle, not from emotion, from consideration, not from impulse, from genuine necessity, not from the need to be heard. The Stoic test for speech is simple and clarifying. Does this need to be said? Does this need to be said by me? Does this need to be said by me right now? If the honest answer to all three questions is yes, speak. Speak clearly, speak directly, and do not flinch. If the honest answer to even one of those questions is no, then silence is not failure. Silence is judgment. And judgment is exactly what the world desperately needs more of. Building the practice. Silence, like every Stoic discipline, is not something you understand once and then possess forever. It is something you build, day by day, situation by situation, one choice at a time. Here is how to begin. Start with observation. Before you try to change what you say, simply notice when you speak. Notice what triggers you to speak. Notice what you feel in the moment before words leave your mouth. Is it intention? Is it impulse? Is it discomfort with silence? Is it the need for validation? Is it habit? Do not judge what you find. Simply see it. Then begin to introduce the pause, not as a performance of composure, as a genuine question. Do I need to say this? The question itself changes the relationship between your impulse and your action. It creates the space Epictetus spoke of between stimulus and response, where your actual freedom lives. Begin to practice with the lower stakes moments, the unnecessary comment, the reflexive opinion about something that does not affect you, the joke that comes at someone else's expense, the oversharing in a conversation where listening would have served everyone better. These small practices accumulate into a different kind of person. Not overnight, but over months, the person who chooses their words begins to find that their words carry more weight, their presence carries more calm, and their relationships carry more depth. And then, eventually, you will find yourself in a high-stakes moment, an argument, an accusation, a provocation, a temptation to speak from your worst self. And you will pause. And the pause will be real because you have been practicing it. And in that moment, you will understand something in your body that no philosophy can fully convey in words. The most powerful thing you did today was the thing you chose not to say. The world needs your silence as much as your voice. I want to close with something that cuts against the current of almost everything culture tells you right now. We live in an era that has mistaken volume for value. Every platform rewards the loudest take, the hottest opinion, the most dramatic reaction. The algorithm does not care whether what you say is wise or true or worth saying. It cares only whether it produces engagement. And outrage, controversy, and impulsive expression produce engagement far more reliably than silence, consideration, and depth. This is not an accident. It is the design of systems that profit from your reactivity. The Stoic response to this environment is not to opt out of the world entirely. It is to refuse to be governed by it. To be, in Epictetus's phrase, a person whose inner citadel, whose private capacity for reason and choice cannot be breached by external noise. Your silence, practiced intentionally, is a political act in this environment. It is a refusal to let the urgency of others dictate the quality of your response. It is a declaration that you will be something rarer and more durable than content. The world does not only need your voice, it needs your wisdom. And wisdom does not always speak. Sometimes wisdom watches, sometimes wisdom listens, sometimes wisdom waits. And then, when the moment arrives, the real moment, the one that matters, wisdom opens its mouth, and what it says changes the room. That is the goal. Not silence forever, not speech always, but the discipline to know the difference and the character to honor what you know. If something in this landed, if you felt the weight of what we covered today, then you already understand why this work matters. Most of the world is getting louder. The people who learn to be more deliberate, more intentional, more disciplined in how they use the power of their words, those are the people who will move through this world with a quiet authority that volume can never manufacture. This is what Stoic Ascension is built for. Subscribe to this channel, turn on notifications, because every video here goes deeper into the philosophy and practice that builds the kind of person you actually want to become. The next video is already waiting for you, but for now, sit with what you heard today, in silence.